Okay, hello everybody. Today's date is September 30th, 2021, and my name is Leslie Williams. And I decided to make a video this morning concerning the sensitization method connected to gang-stalking crimes. And trust me when I say, my fellow American citizens, you want to research what I'm about to tell you. In fact, I might streamline this particular subject matter into a video series, and I'm pretty good about mentioning what the subject matter is at the beginning of my videos, and or at least stating that this is a video series, and usually then going on to verbalize what the title might be, which usually will at least reveal what the subject matter is about. And the reason why I go through all that is because this crime is keeping me so busy on a daily basis that a lot of times I don't have time to title my videos right away. Feel free to go into the this YouTube account you're watching this video through, and watch my videos, and please be patient concerning things being pasted within descriptions, because that information is going to, once I start doing that on a more daily basis, you're going to be able to see how that information complements and or corroborates what is detailed within the subject matters of the videos. So I'm going to go ahead right now, and I'm going to describe to you some of the 6 sadistic, depraved, demented, demonic things that these criminally insane wild animals do to gang-stalking victims. So I'm going to give you 60 seconds to go get a pen and piece of paper so you can write down some of my descriptions. That way you don't have to come back and watch the entire video. If something sticks out for you, I'm hoping that you investigate everything I state in this video. Go ahead and start doing that now, and then I'll conclude that statement within in about a minute when you come back. So anyways, one of the main things I do concerning gang-stalking crimes is what most victims do, actually, because all victims of this crime are intentionally made completely powerless over it, legally, judicially, and through and when this crime also perpetrates extreme crimes against our neurological and biological systems. Well, just go to Google and research how victims of gang stalking are blacklisted from uncorrupted medical assistance, uncorrupted legal assistance, and uncorrupted judicial processes. That our Constitution guarantees us, that federal civil codes guarantee us, and through state constitutions, as well as state, county, and local government penal and civil codes should assure us, but they don't. Because when you're a gang stalker victim, every single aspect of your life is intentionally torn down, completely raped on a daily basis, and what they do to your mind and body is intentionally done with complete malice aforethought, criminal intent, aiding and abetting, and so much more. Each and every gang stalking victim across the United States, experiences massive extreme human rights abuses every single day, massive amounts of Class A felonies, and massive amounts of misdemeanors. Absolutely. And so when any collective body gets together and puts into action and forces and affects nothing but extreme human rights abuses on anybody every day, nonstop, even when they're sleeping, and hold on a second. I don't want you to miss anything I gotta say. There seems to be a lot of military helicopters flying by. Anyways, so let me just finish this cigarette. Hold on one second. See, let me tell you something about this crime, my dear fellow American family. Any collective body that sits back at if you can imagine a bunch of low-life animals sitting back at a conference table and collectively creating a program and then forcing it in effect upon hundreds of thousands of people, and then obviously making sure every single last bit of it is completely and thoroughly protected at all times. And then part of their pathology pertaining to the program itself is where they intentionally do anything and everything, including non-stop, to each victim. Non-stop, and then making sure every last bit of it is thoroughly and completely protected. Then what you are literally looking at is nothing but a bunch of mass murdering, torturing, raping, gang raping, human trafficking wild animals. And that's it, period. End of story. Because when you research those descriptions to gang stalking, you're going to see that that's some of the main descriptions concerning this crime. So I think we can all conclude that anybody who sits back as a collective body and forces those types of crimes on completely innocent people, and then makes sure that they use the same system to protect every single bit of it from A to Z at all times, including against each victim for decades at a time. Non-stop, 24/7, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, for even over decades at a time, then I think you can clearly deduce that you do not live in a free society. You live in nothing but a murdering, raping, gang raping, human trafficking society, and that is literally all this crime is, even though it's involved in hundreds of criminal motivations. So that should have gave you more than enough time to get up and go get a pen and piece of paper. Hold on a second. So, what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to display and introduce you to a topic that is widely reported to be involved in this crime, and it is called the sensitization method of gang stalking. Now, the sensitization method of gang stalking can even spill into two other widely reported techniques of this crime, which are also the direct conversation method and dark neurolinguistic programming techniques, because dark neurolinguistic programming techniques and the direct conversation method can also be incorporated within the sensitization technique. And when you extensively research this crime in depthly, you will be able to determine that that is the fact. Okay, and I don't have time to go into that in this particular video, but I will expand on it in video number 2, 3, and maybe 4 of this video series. Because since sensitization method and including in the way that I just described, pertaining to how two other methods can be brought and synthesized within it, concerning how it's done against each victim, I think you're going to eventually conclude through your research, through what I expose in my video series, that brain entrainment is the main goal. Visual brain entrainment, auditory brain entrainment, and when they create visual and auditory brain entrainment, you better be damn sure they love doing it to intentionally induce dissociated states to the limbic system, and they will also make sure that intentionally induced emotions are attached to it, either through natural emotions that are intentionally induced through trauma, assaults, and so on. But they can also heterodyne emotions onto the gang stalking victim's brain as the victim is enduring any and all types of techniques intentionally perpetrated through this crime. The people who host this crime are nothing but sadistic animals. At the end of the day, that is all they are: depraved, satanic, sadistic animals. At the end of the day, that is all they are, period. So, let me illustrate to you one simple thing about the sensitization method of gang stalking so you can have a better understanding concerning, like, this is an introduction to it, and it's going to be more than a summary, it's going to be more than a preface, it's going to be an introduction to it. So when you watch the follow-up videos and continue to watch them and research what I state and then synthesize the information, baby cakes, your mind's going to be blown. So let me introduce you to a fast way that sensitization can be created in any person's mind. You should understand, I will always believe that men who are targets of this crime are just as important as women, but I'm going to emphasize women in this particular video series because 70% of all victims are women, and because I am a woman. But make no mistake about it, I believe in, I have nothing against men at all whatsoever, but men are also victimized through the same type of exacting, specific descriptions. So if you're a man target out there, understand and know you got my love and support at all times. So, let me introduce to you one of the ways that the sensitization method can be intentionally created within and forced an effect upon the gang stalking victim's mind, into their thinking processes, into their emotions that are intentionally induced as a direct result of how it's employed, and how it can also be incorporated and attached to dissociated states as well as to the limbic system. So here we go. Now, so say if you got a gang stalking victim, a woman who does not know anything at all about gang stalking, doesn't know one thing about it, not one speck of information has ever been introduced into that victim's mind or environment or relationships ever, meaning that the victim has no idea that gang stalking crimes are going on in any way, shape, or form, anywhere. And then they become a gang stalking victim. including for years without even having the name to describe the crime, so they can go online and research what the hell's going on and who's implicated and how it works in order to try and educate themselves about it so that the psychological disorientation is minimized. Gang-stalking crimes do not want the victim to have a sense of control over any and all things done to them through this crime, because they already know they're intentionally affecting and forcing massive amounts of psychological operations against the victim, their mind and body and life. And since trauma is massively needed in this crime, they want to make sure they keep that victim in as much psychological disorientation as humanly possible. Make no mistake about it. And I think when you research voice to skull and voice morphine, I think you'll really start to understand that may be the case. So let me segue into a great description, an introduction to the sensitization method, and I might make a second video while I'm standing here. I don't know. I'm not sure yet because I got a busy day today. So I'm going to give you a fast, but it's going to be detailed illustration of the sensitization method connected to gang-stalking crimes and how bad these depraved wild animals intentionally force and affect their techniques upon the victim's neurological and biological systems, including their memory. Because creating episodic memories and memory references is one of the biggest aspects of this crime, and it is directly connected to the three just identified techniques that I just stated a couple minutes ago. Okay, DNLP, the direct conversation method, and the sensitization method. So, what I want you to do is sit back and imagine to yourself that you got a 19-year-old or an 18-year-old woman who's on her own for the first time. For whatever reason, maybe she's just now starting college or university. Maybe she has bad relationships with her family members and was kind of forced out of the house. No matter what caused this person at this young age to be on their own, this person has already been identified to be a future target of this crime. Okay, so whether that identification occurred before or after she became physically independent. So anyway, all right, so you got a woman who's 18, 19 years old, and she's on her own for the first time in her life. And she's overly concerned about being able to gain employment that will sustain her concerning rent, car payment, food, and the whole 9 yards, just average things we're all concerned about. And the perpetrators love targeting single women of any and all ages. Okay, so what they will do is they will learn, when you research gang stalking concerning how they do psychological profiles and family history profiles, even for years before the open targeting starts, you'll start to see how easy it is for them to, when they start implementing the program against her, how easy it is for them to destroy her life by destroying it covertly, loss of job, destruction of family relationships, destruction of friendships, and much more. You will start to be able to see that those are the preliminary things that get done, because once they really start targeting her, they know she's going to eventually run to people for help, including the FBI, law enforcement, who are nothing but massively implicated organized crime animals to be directly connected to the host of this crime. So when we know that when we research the little useful idiots that they use for this crime, you can see community-based harassment is also part of it. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, sweetheart. So anyways, I just had to throw that statement in there for a second. But anyways, okay, so when you research, so she's on her own. And let's say that they have already started to break down her financial independence by causing job loss after she got a job, right? So she's now thinking to herself, she's got to pay rent. She's starting to have problems with her car, okay? And all of this is managed by these little satanic rats, okay, who are managing the crime itself. So they're breaking down her personal autonomy, her independence, by engaging in several different widely reported identified techniques that are employed against her personal life. And she'll just perceive it as a bunch of running bad luck that's all happening back to back or simultaneously. So they do this so that once they really start putting her in a bad situation by and through the circumstances that are created from these covertly managed, different, intentionally perpetrated additional crimes, blacklisting from employment, covertly staging a vehicle accident, and or sabotaging her car frequently to get her to go through her savings, and then they finally wreck the car. That goal is to put her out on the street. But let me just backtrack, because I kind of got too sidetracked into that illustration, even though it's extremely relevant, because they do all this. Let me get back to the sensitization method. So say if you got a woman that they're targeting, and she has no idea that her life has been her life could also be already socially infiltrated. Okay, because Google all my descriptions to gang stalking. So let's just say that you got a female who is where her life is like hanging in the balance, because you got all these circumstances that are on the fringe of exploding into extremely bad effects. Okay, absolutely. So
that's true. Actually, I have a friend who has a little kiosk there, and she sells like those.
okay, so what you want to understand about these 6 satanic cores is they love to create what is known as memory references, because memory references is one of the big things that they do in this crime. It's directly connected to the anchoring technique of this crime, which is directly connected to the sensitization method. So let's say that if this girl is on the cusp, she's a week or two away from these circumstances blowing up into extreme effects, job loss, home loss, car loss, and so on. But her life's already been socially infiltrated by and through either gang stalking women who are part of the gang stalking program, and or intimate infiltration of man. And so they say that one of them will call her up, and they'll say, hey, let's go to a party, or let's go out to eat, or let's go out and have a drink and maybe watch a football game. And her mind's just thinking to herself, well, I just want to escape my mind twirling around into what possibly is going to be coming about very soon. And you should also know they can be using voice to skull with voice morphing on her to get her to agree to go out. Yeah, when you research at YouTube and Google Stockton, San Antonio, Stockton, San Antonio, and then go back to YouTube and Google and type in John Hall Satellite Terrorism, watch about 100 of his videos. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So anyways, and you'll see what happened to those 2 women. They were literally raped in their own homes, directly connected to this crime. Absolutely. So, and then when you research John Hall Satellite Terrorism videos, you will discover he's massively exposing that what happened to his fiancée directly happened as a direct result of voice to skull voice morphing. So, say they already know that she is on the razor edge. One more little, just a matter of 10 days to 2 weeks, and she's going to be out on the street. Well, this has already been massively already covertly managed for those effects, but her life was already infiltrated before then. So a person calls her up. Let's just say a guy calls her up that was part of the social infiltration. He calls her up and says, "Hey, why don't we go out and get something to eat? Okay, why don't we go see a movie?" So they'll go see a movie, then they'll go get something to eat, and by the time she gets in the car, okay, she starts feeling dizzy, and then she kind of passes out. And then she kind of infrequently wakes up and notices that she's being gang raped by 5 men. And while that's happening, they're repeating specific words and phrases and mocking her and laughing at her and pointing at her and even making certain types of sounds. They might even be sticking their finger up to their mouth, okay, as she's being brutally raped. Okay, shoving it in and out of her mouth as she's being brutally raped. Okay? And mocking her and pointing at her and laughing at her as she's being brutally raped. But her mind is only perceiving partials of this because they gave her a certain tailored, measured amount of the date rape drug. So she's only having partial memories of this because she's going in and out of consciousness, which was part of the reason why they did what they did. Okay, because they knew that she would somewhat gain and regain consciousness throughout it. Okay? Remember, all this was staged from 1 to 10. The whole thing was staged from 1 to 10. The mocking, the laughing, the physical gestures, okay, the brutal statements, non-stop, identically repeated as she's being raped. And then she's taken home, put in her bed, wakes up the next morning, she has no memory of it. Okay? Now, she has no memory of it at all. And then on subsequent days, people start getting placed along her routes. Okay? And somebody might walk up to her and say, hey, how you doing, while they're putting their finger in their mouth. Okay? And she starts noticing that's occurring two, three times a week, then once a day, then 2, 3 times a day, then 15 times a day, then 20 times a day. Okay? She gets on a bus or stands at a bus stop, and some dumbass joker sits right next to her and puts the finger up right in front of his crotch, right in the middle of his crotch. Okay? While he's got the other finger in her mouth. Then she goes home, and then she starts suddenly experiencing memories, flashbacks of what happened. And she doesn't understand it because she has no mental conscious recall of what happened. So what's going on there? Go to Google and type in at Google remote neuromonitoring, memory mapping, and memory stimulation. And you better believe they will also videotape a rape too, so that they can play sections of the audio of what was heard by her into her audio cortex through voice to skull. Okay? So she starts having partial recall of this happening, but she don't remember what it's related to the night that the guy came and picked her up. She's just thinking that something's going on here. Maybe I had a bad dream. Okay. So I don't understand all this. And so this is repeated nonstop, tens of thousands of times in 5 years, everywhere she goes. Okay? So then she starts to realize that there's got to be a correlation between the physical props using any lowlife or any demonic rat that these little sick, fucking, filthy, satanic whores prop up along the routes, using anybody for it anywhere. In fact, using everybody for it everywhere. Grocery stores, libraries, coffee shops, bus stops, bus routes, bus drivers, bus passengers, library staff, bank employees, post office employees. Research all those descriptions to gangstalking. So the anchor was the finger and the other things that they were intentionally forcing her to witness as she was going in and out of consciousness as she got raped. And then every single thing that was done during that rape was recorded, and all visual memories were mapped through remote neuromonitoring. And then what they do is they feed them back into the unconscious, subconscious, and conscious mind by and through sending them to the visual cortex by and through remote neuromonitoring. Now, this is done in order to reinforce the visual entrainment of that act to the disassociated states as the rape was, that got created as the rape was going on. Why do you think they wanted her back in and out of consciousness? Because they were creating the disassociated state to the limbic system, which is responsible for self-preservation, while creating it to the preconscious and conscious state, to a disassociated state. This is how fucked up your sick bitch demonic government is. And who is the main implicated host of this crime? The Department of Defense, the DIA, the NSA, the CIA, the DHS, the FBI, state, county, and local police, fusion centers, and a bunch of other wild, implicated, satanic, filthy, criminally insane, wild, rat-ass animal horrors. So hold on one second, let me show you something. You know, the people who commit these crimes don't give a flying fuck about what they do to anybody at any time, anywhere. It's called the computer-to-brain link, the computer-to-brain feedback loop, brain-to-computer interface, remote neuromonitoring. They don't give a flying fuck at all. Do you really believe for 1 second in your deliberations, in your heart, your mind, your soul, that wild, satanic, filthy whores who are out there managing the rape and gang rape of women and men all over the country daily, and the police allowing every single bit of it and can even participate in it? Do you honestly believe that these are the kind of people that give a flying fuck what anybody thinks concerning any victim? But they do care about you knowing about it. What kind of retaliation do you think I'm going to suffer here in the next month for reporting this? Go to Google and research at Google cyber surveillance and gangstalking. They watch every single thing every gangstalking victim does. Okay? They can see when I'm making a video as a direct result of them putting non-consensual remote neuromonitoring lens implants in my eyes. And by the way, these non-consensual remote neuromonitoring lens implants, these are light crystal ocular biofilm implants. They can send images to them and video streams to them. Whatever is sent to them is then seen in the visual cortex to assist in visual entrainment. Absolutely. So what I do is that I expose what these sick, filthy, satanic whores do for the truth of the matter. Because wild animals never tell the truth at all. So when you got the capacity to do things like this, and then they watch your videos and they say, well, this bitch is getting out of hand, we're gonna have to rope her in. So what we'll do is we'll wait until she gets to wherever she lives, and we'll fry her brain with electromagnetic weapons and directed energy weapons. Okay? Or her heart, or her organs, or her throat. By the way, I want you to pay attention to something here. I don't know how well you see it, but this is a white mark on my throat. How do you think that got there? So what did I say at the beginning of this video? These sick, filthy whores that commit this crime, they got to completely protect it at all levels. Federal, state, county, and local. And if you complain about it, they'll literally call you mentally ill, look for a normal apparent excuse to claim they know where your videos are at, call you mentally ill, lock you up in a psychiatric ward, force the victim to take, pills that have such bad elements in them that it will literally mentally castrate them and neurologically impair them permanently for life, just in order to keep that exposure, from continuing. This is how sick your filthy, sick, bitch, demonic USA government is. And this crime does have military attachments. It can't be said any clearer because I've said it thousands of times. I will never stop, ever, until the wild whores that were responsible for the staged event in San Diego in 2006 admit what they did in court, thoroughly, completely, and honestly. Do to me what you will. Every single thing that I'm doing is because of one event. One event. Now, do you really think that I'm going to stop just because you target this shit out of me? It's been 10 years. Do you really believe I'm going to stop? Are you that stupid? By the way, go to Google and YouTube and research mass shootings, voice to skull, remote neural monitoring, and gangstalking, including Aaron Alexis and Myron May. To the perpetrators, I hope you enjoyed every second of this video. I hope it makes you mad as hell, because now you know what it then is like to have other people induce emotions in you. Fuck off and die. Everybody, thank you for listening. Have a good day. This is video 1 of the video series connected to gangstalking and the sensitization method. Everybody research this crime in all of my descriptions. All of them. Every last one of them. These wild animals have no right to their privacy. Gangstalking victims have no right to their privacy. What makes them think they got right to theirs? Have a good day, everybody.